Yo, so I know Luocha just got revealed, and if my mic sounds too loud, too low, or weird in a way, it's because I just got this Wave XLR thing set on my Go XLR, so I'm still messing with some audio settings, but can't let that stop the content. Right now, Luocha getting announced, or rather his banner and all that kind of stuff is pretty cool, so we're just gonna go over everything. I'm probably not gonna edit this because again, I don't want to do all this audio stuff, so let's just kind of jump into it. I wrote some things down, some notes here, so that I can go over what it is that I want to do, but as of right now, Loach is a really cool character. I like this character a lot. Whether or not you need to pull him, I'll have that for an entirely different video, but I also have a previous video that I already talked about in regards to, am I double? What the heck? I fixed it. I am no longer double. Anyhow, I've already gone over everything pertaining to Loach and whether or not you should pull him based on your account, but we can readdress that too, right? We can readdress it too in this video. Right now, I want to go over the fact that Luocha is practically he's an S tier character. Luocha is going to be one of those characters that are really good, the best healer in the game, basically. So if you don't have Bailu, if you don't have Japard, the answer is kind of obvious. Go ahead and grab Luocha. Granted, and this is where the previous video comes into play. You have Silver Wolf, things can be slightly adjusted, slightly changed. But for now, let's go over Luocha. Luocha as a character, his solo pull worth, right? Whether or not Luocha by himself is worth a pull, this alone, this whole trace thing alone is really strong. The first trace being Cleansing Revival. When the skill's effect is triggered, one debuff is removed from a target ally. This is really important. This is important because of the wording. I, at the time of understanding Luocha, was under the impression that only his skill was able to remove the debuff. But because they were changing wording, they changed this wording, it makes it so much more clear. And this is really good, really important. This is saying when the effect of his skill is triggered, not when he uses his skill, when the effect is triggered. We all know Luocha has a field that he uses, the Abyss field or whatever, the flower field, the stacks. That is basically going to, every 2 turns, have the ability to trigger the skill's effect again, which is in turn going to remove a debuff. So let's say that you have Zila. Zila does her thing. She gets frozen or hit by the stupid deer tree branch thing. And then Luocha's on the field as well. Boom, Luocha comes out. He's like, hey, I've already got my field up. This is going to trigger. You're done. Great. What this also allows you to do is if you get into a rotation with like 3 to 4 turn rotations for Luocha's ultimate, now you're going to be able to continuously refresh that field every couple of turns so that the 2 turn, whatever it is, the 2 turn limit, the 2 turn limit, I know that's a lot of turns, but it goes away because you'll refresh the field. So this is how this should work. The next one here is Sanctified. When an enemy within the field is attacked by an ally, all allies except the attacker will also recover a certain amount of HP. I'm not entirely too sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this wasn't his trace before during the beta. During when you're playing the game, I don't think he has this. I don't think he also has Through the Valley. I think these are brand new traces that they gave him, whether or not these were transferred from the Eidolon or anything like that. I'm not entirely too sure, but as of right now, both of these are really good. Being able to resist crowd control debuffs from his last trace is huge. I literally just got through complaining about this with Bailu in tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's gonna have a video going over some Trailblazer TL60 mistake stuff or whatever that I made. And in that, I was just complaining about Bailu because Bailu, for whatever reason, still gets CC'd and I hate it. Not only can she not remove CC, but she also can't stop herself from being CC. She has no resistance to it in the same way that you would think. So him having an innate trace that resisted, it might seem like it's really weak, like, oh man, I want more damage from my healer. Nah, this is perfect. This trace alone is really good for this character. If we come down to his skill and we look at this here, this is his bread and butter. This is going to be able to heal any of your allies. It's also going to give you 1 stack of the Abyss Flower. The Abyss Flower is very important because of the Abyss field. It also has the effect that whenever they fall down, it's automatically going to trigger, right? And then this is going to have its 2 turn limit as well. This is really good. His ultimate is going to be something that's really unique as well, which is going to be able to remove 1 buff. Similar to Pela, her ability on her skill removes a buff from an enemy. His removes a buff from everybody. All enemies on the field, 1 buff, get them up out of here. And this is going to be perfect, going alongside giving him another stack. So you use the skill, use the ultimate, or in reverse. Now you've got the field up, you're good to go. A couple things that I want to talk about regarding Luocha is the fact that him having the ability to heal without using a constant skill, right? The need to not be constantly using his skill is a big bonus. It's huge because it allows you to rack up skill points, generate skill points, and heal when you need it, so that you're not really stressing about whether or not you have the skill points to heal or use them for your DPS or your Bronya or Yukong, whoever you're going to be using. Debuffing the enemy with the ultimate, that's something that we don't have access to outside of Pela. So being able to have your healer also be able to debuff or cleanse rather your own, he's the perfect combination. I don't know what kind of crack Hoyoverse was on, but it is huge right now. They were smoking something fierce. Luocha single-handedly makes it so that any team doesn't need a tank or a healer. It opens up the slot for another DPS, a sub DPS, or another buffer, a debuffer, whatever kind of team combination you really want to use. This is great. And him having the healing based on his actual attack percent makes for good building. I think this is going to be great for people that are already running Musketeer and Passerby. They're farming that set a lot. So this is going to help you because now you have those HP percents, those attack percents. You can just throw them on Luocha. You won't need to invest as much time or resources into farming for Luocha outside of getting his traces and essential materials. Another thing that I want to point out here is going to go over a little bit of his team versatility. I think Luocha works with almost everyone. You would think that a healer works with everyone, but in Luocha's case, he kind of works against some of the characters' kits, and some things really just don't want to happen. Now, there are some notables. You have Clara, you have Blade, a future unit, Kafka, another future unit, and then Qingque. These 4 characters, off the top of my head, are going to appreciate Luocha the most. In Clara's case, it just means that she can constantly be healed, constantly have a skill being used from herself or another DPS character, while never having to worry about whether or not she's going to die. You are missing out on something like Bailu where, oh, you died or you got KO'd, I can revive you real quick. But in Luocha's case, his healing is going to be so strong. He's going to be doing it so often without the need for a skill point and still having the ability to use skill points if necessary, that Clara should really never faint. Blade is kind of similar. Blade sacrifices his own HP in order to do that. And this is a little bit different, or a lot different rather, than someone like Arlen. Arlen wants as little HP as possible so that he has a massive difference of damage multipliers between him and the enemy. And so a shielder is going to be the best case for Arlen, or, Bailu, because Bailu can revive him, but Arlen can also revive himself. So it's a little like 50-50 on what you're doing, but this isn't an Arlen video. Kafka and Qingque are 2 characters that I'm really excited for when it comes to using them with Luocha, specifically because Qingque is one of those characters that CC ruins him. And in Kafka's case, enemies getting buffs or being able to stop her from applying those DOTs, that ruins her. Not as much as it would for Qingque getting CC'd, but the fact that Luocha does both in one kit, right? Luocha does both of these things, which significantly help both of these characters. In Qingque's case, it keeps him from having to be CC'd, and it's automatic. If you have the field up, if you have the skill up, it's automatically going to be applied to the point where if Qingque gets frozen or CC'd right before Lightning Lord goes, it's going to be a chain event, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? A chain reaction. Qingque has Lightning Lord stacked up all the way. Lightning Lord is maybe like a turn or 2 away. Boom, Qingque gets frozen, unfortunate, or he gets entangled, unfortunate. Hey, guess what? Luocha's field is going to activate. Boom, bada bing. Now it's gone. Qingque gets to go, and then Lightning Lord is going to pick up where he left off. Boom. Now, if this chain reaction works negatively, and what I mean by negatively is if the chain reaction works in a way very similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where the order of events lines up perfectly so that Qingque gets CC'd, Lightning Lord gets pushed back first, so that Lightning Lord's ability, right? Like it's gonna, oh, I'm right up after Qingque, enemy goes, and then he CC's. Now Lightning Lord gets pushed down to the very bottom of the list or the next turn order, whatever the case may be. And then Luocha's field triggers and removes the debuff from Qingque. If the order of events works that way, it's going to be a really bad time for Qingque. Yeah, you're going to be un-CC'd, but you're going to be missing out on Lightning Lord even doing what he was supposed to do that turn in the first place. In Kafka's case, because DOTs can also be recovered by the use of someone like Bronya. If you're fighting Coco, Bronya can do her woof woof and redeployment, and then now all your DOTs are gone from, well, not all of them. I think it's just one, but Super Bronya can remove all of them, and it's kind of sucky, but it is what it is. If enemies are able to remove them, advance forward, remove the debuffs, whatever the case may be, from someone like Silverwolf, from someone like Kafka with the DOTs, that'll suck. So being able to take that away with the use of Luocha would be really good. And so now you get into this pretty cool thing with Luocha plus Silverwolf basically keeping the enemy nerfed at all times. Lastly, I want to go over Luocha's banner here, okay? This banner is, I'd say this is like a 60-40. The things on the banner are really good, but there's one character in particular who is just okay. And I'm just going to get it out of the way. Qingque. I'm not, by no means am I calling Qingque bad. I don't want anyone to think that. I don't think Qingque is a bad character. I think she is complete RNG. There are some ways to manipulate that RNG, but that requires a lot more work than what I would like to do personally, and I'm not doing it until I need to do it for like some kind of video or fun experiment, whatever the case may be. Y'all can fund that, but it is what it is. If you like playing slot machines, you like playing the lotto, Qingque might be for you. Admittedly, E6 Qingque, E6 Qingque is fire. Moving to the next character that's pretty important is going to be Pela. All right, Pela is a great but lesser alternative if you decided to skip Silverwolf. Similar concept, the only difference is Pela has freeze instead of entanglement, so you're not really getting a lot of DOT action out of that, but freeze is going to slow them down. It's going to prevent them from having a turn right after that, and she also gets to remove a debuff. So if you decided to do some kind of crazy thing with Pela and Luocha, well, now your enemy never gets to have a buff. Basically, you should always be able to play that team or that pair of characters together so that your enemy never gets a buff. It's pretty cool. Last on the banner is going to be Yukong, which I'm just going to say it. I think Yukong is S tier. I think once I get this character in my hands, I'll be able to make a definitive statement about this. But as of right now, just based off speculative theory, I do believe top tier Foxy and Beauty Woman. I think she's right on par with Qingque, if not better, in a lot of scenarios. Not all of them, but in a lot of scenarios. I can't go over everything about Yukong just yet because I don't know the specific numbers, allegedly, but I will say that Yukong, as of right now, her abilities, fire, fuego. I think getting multiple Eidolons of this character, even without knowing what the actual Eidolons are, will make her so much better. And then you pair her with Luocha, phenomenal. I think Yukong is an entirely different character that we could talk about in a different video, because I do genuinely think Yukong opens up more doors for different team comps than Luocha does. I think Luocha is just a perfect character. I think all around they made a really complete, really good character. He's perfect. I think Yukong is a completely different type of character, and what she's going to be able to do is open up so many more other opportunities for these other characters. Like you know what, I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to let you guys see the video when it happens, and then I'll test it out. Regardless, that's going to be it for me today. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys feel about Luocha, whether or not you think he is still worth your pull. If you are interested in him for the banner alone, if you're interested in him for just being Luocha as it is. I think throughout the week, me releasing a few of these videos talking about Luocha, his worth, his team versatility, whether or not he can fit on this, that, and the third, or even some of the characters that are a part of his banner, will do a lot of you really good. It'll do me really good in helping me decide whether or not I want to invest in a Luocha. But as a character, as a final statement about Luocha, I think Luocha is damn good, so strong. He's easily one of the best support characters in the game, in my opinion. I have Silverwolf very high when it comes to my type of support characters, and I think Luocha might actually be right under Silverwolf in terms of defensive capabilities, keeping the team alive. If I could have a Luocha on every single team, I'd do it. Now, granted, as I mentioned earlier, some characters don't want Luocha. It goes completely against their kit, like Arlen. So if I were focusing on an Arlen team, if Arlen was my main DPS, I wouldn't be concerned about pulling Luocha in the slightest. I'd have him on a completely different account or a completely different team, and that's if I wasn't already building up Natasha and Fire MC. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy this or are looking forward to more of the content coming out this week about Luocha, or Yukong for that matter, any other characters. Like the video, comment, subscribe. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.